Welcome into another edition of your weekend warm-up. I'm your host, Kirsten Krull. Teams this past weekend cruised their way to wins, while other seasons came to an end. Let's take a look at what went down, starting with soccer. The team traveled to Bemidji this past Wednesday for the first round of the SCSU tournament against Bemidji State. This game was a defensive struggle throughout the entirety of the first half, as it was tied at halftime 0s apiece. Early in the second half, freshman Jenna Dominguez boots one to the back of the net, making it a 1-0 Huskies. And that would be the final score, as the Huskies would move on to the semifinals. Zoe Welsh tallied 4 saves in this victory as well. And this is the first time since 2011 that the Huskies have won an NSIC playoff game, and the first of Coach Greta Arvison's in St. Cloud. Unfortunately, their season came to an end after losing against Concordia St. Paul in the second overtime in the NSIC semifinals on Friday. Going into the second half scoreless, but Concordia St. Paul broke the shutout at 65-31 with a goal by Nikki Anderson to give the Golden Bears a 1-0 lead. The Huskies forced the overtime sessions with the game-tying goal by Caitlin Dubinsky at the 90th minute. The first overtime, St. Cloud State outshot the Golden Bears 2-1, but neither team was able to find the back of the net. The second overtime, Concordia St. Paul finally gained the game-winning goal at the 107th minute with Anderson's second goal of the afternoon. The loss against the Golden Bears allowed them to advance to the championship game on Sunday against Minnesota State. After a record-setting night last week, the men's basketball team was looking to bring that same momentum to take on the Minnesota State Mavericks, a powerhouse in the NSIC. The Huskies fought hard versus Minnesota State in the first half, only down 4, and once again, St. Cloud showed their flaws in the second half, going 4 for 11 from the free throw line, getting the Mavericks bust things wide open and take the game 73-61. It was the season finale for the St. Cloud State football team last Saturday as the Huskies welcomed the Dragons from MSU Moorhead. In the first, Huskies down by 7, and the Dragons will add on as Jacob Sinani finds Jake Richter for the 31-yard touchdown pass. Dragons go up by 14. Later, Dragons knocking on the door as Sinani fools the defense with this read option, goes into the end zone untouched. Dragons up big going into the half, 24-0. In the third, Huskies finally get on the board as Joe Blando hops over the offensive line to get the score. Huskies down 24-6. Fourth quarter, Dwayne Lawhorn finds John Solberg, cuts the lead to 11, but that's as close as the Huskies would get as they would fall to the Dragons 24-13, and St. Cloud State would finish the year at 4-7. Your number 9 overall Huskies volleyball team finished the regular season just as you'd expect, winning. The team was on the road in Winona to start the weekend and found victory 3-1 over the number 16 Warriors as Lindsay Rachel led the way with 15 kills. The second opponent of the weekend was the 21st ranked Upper Iowa Peacocks, where your Huskies picked up a 3-2 win off of 60 assists from Maddie Torvey and 28 digs from Taylor Olstad. Your Huskies finished the year 23-5 overall and ranked number 7 in the nation as they head into playoffs. The wrestling team had a great showing at the Finn Granaker Open this weekend. Joey Bianchini finished the first in the 141 weight bracket, beating Kenny Jones of Northern State. Devin Donovan also placed first in the 174 weight bracket. Adam Heaton and Jake Mant placed second, with Heaton losing to a 5-4 decision and Mant losing to 8-2 decision. The Huskies will travel this Wednesday to Southwest Minnesota State University to take on the Mustangs. The swim and dive teams traveled to St. Paul for the St. Thomas Invite, and both teams had a pretty dominant victory against every team there. The men's team ended the weekend with 1,168.5 points, and the women's team ended the weekend with a final score of 1,139. The Huskies will resume action on December 6th through 8th for the Rochester Invite. Taking a look at the upcoming events, later today the wrestling team welcomes in Southwest Minnesota State. Men's basketball has a set of home games this week, hosting Waldorf University on Thursday at 7 and Dakota Wesleyan University on Saturday with tip-off set for 4 o'clock. Women's basketball travels to Northern Michigan University. Volleyball heads to Sioux Falls, South Dakota to compete in the NSIC tournament. Women's hockey welcomes in the University of Wisconsin for a 2-game series, face-off set for 6:07 on Friday and 3:07 on Saturday. And finally, the men's hockey team heads north to face the University of North Dakota. I'd like to take a minute to say thank you to all of our seniors and the dedication to their respected programs over the years. And that's going to do it for this edition of the Weekend Warm-Up. Husky Nation, we'll see you back here next week.